Are you saying that you are not going to vote for the upcoming president?
I'm going to write in a president, and that president is reparations.
Hi, I'm Malika Bilal, and I'm here with Jecorey Arthur, the youngest councilperson to be elected in Louisville, because we need to talk. President Donald Trump refused on Tuesday at the first presidential debate to condemn white supremacists. Did anything about what you saw happen during the debate surprise you?
Not really. I've been taught not only through my elders, but also through lived experiences that the Democrats and the Republicans are two wings of the same bird. So as we unpack who Donald Trump is, President Donald Trump, we also have to unpack who Joe Biden is. And according to his record, 47 years in office, I would say he's just as racist as Donald Trump is. And as long as neither one of them are talking about reparations, they're not talking about anything for me and mine.
You tweeted during the first presidential debate, Joe should have never brought us up unless he was ready to address what he has done to us and reparations. What do you say to those who worry censuring Biden right before the election will help Trump get reelected?
Well, what people have to realize is Trump is not a boogeyman of white supremacy. Trump is not the end all be all reason for the situation that we're currently in. A lot of people attribute the COVID-19 deaths to him, but what they have to realize is we are overwhelmingly impacted by COVID-19, not because of COVID-19 itself, but because of what has happened to us since 1619. And what that means is when you have inadequate education, inadequate healthcare, inadequate access to fresh and healthy and organic foods, you are already set to fail, whether that's because of a pandemic that's happening or because of the police that are coming to respond to crime that's happening because of poverty or otherwise. Donald Trump is just the current president right now, but we've had a long list of presidents for over 230 years who have neglected our people. And he's just so happened to be the person who's currently getting the blame.
Before Donald Trump, we had the first Black president, Barack Obama. Are you saying that it doesn't matter who is in the White House?
It definitely matters, but unfortunately, I think Black people have fallen asleep since Dr. King died. Because since Dr. King has been assassinated, we have had a mass job loss in the industries within our communities. We have seen the crack epidemic and the war on drugs take place within our communities. We have seen mass incarceration be accelerated, which of course we know Joe Biden had a hand in within our community. This has all happened since the civil rights era. And because we have elders in my community who have, I would say, uplifted and put on a platform celebrities and had these aspirational means of success and progression, we have not seen true progression. We've only seen, I would say, representation, such as a Barack Obama, where everyone was happy because he was charismatic and he had a beautiful family. But where are the policies?
Are you saying that you are not going to vote for the upcoming president?
I'm going to write in a president, and that president is reparations. Either one of them could have a reparations agenda, but they refuse to acknowledge it. As I said earlier, they're two wings of the same bird, and both have been neglectful for our community. Both have been damaging to our community. So I'm voting down ballot. I'm going to make sure that I write in reparations in the presidential line, and I will focus on local elections, which I think are equally as important as anything.
Black Americans are far more likely to be killed by police than white Americans. And the police killing of George Floyd, a Black man in Minneapolis this May, pushed unprecedented numbers of Americans out onto the streets. Do you think that this is our civil rights movement?
This is definitely not our civil rights movement because we have too many people in the streets worried about police instead of the root cause of policing being an issue, which is poverty. And as long as we have poverty in our communities, we will have crime in our community. And as long as we have crime in our community, we will have police within our community. The police are the last resort before you go to court and then you get locked up. But what would happen if we focused on making sure that you never committed crimes in the first place, where the police didn't have to come to your community, where you own businesses, or maybe you had a scholarship to attend school, or you had wealth that your family is owed to just live your life and to not have to resort to a life of crime, one that puts you in the prison yard or the graveyard. That's very important for us to realize in this moment. and to not get misguided or to get distracted by the police, because the police are doing what they were created to do, which is to maintain, regulate, and patrol slaves.
You live in Kentucky, a state that's been at the center of news first for the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor, and then for the grand jury's decision not to charge any police officers for her death. What is the mood in Kentucky where you are? What's your mood?
Angry. We see thousands and thousands of people in the streets in Louisville. And I would say majority of them are Generation Z. So the generation right under me as a millennial. And to understand their frustration, you have to understand they are growing up with the internet. They are growing up with immediate gratification where you can click a button and get food, or click a button and get a car and go across town or go across the state. They have information at the tip of their fingers, right in their pocket, 24/7. And when they live in a community that starves them, that keeps them from accelerating in terms of education or in terms of their careers, or a community that kills them and doesn't care, they in many cases don't know how to come out of that moment with anything but anger. And I feel that anger with them because these are my cousins, my brothers and sisters, my family. And I cannot sit back as I was a musician rapping and singing about these issues, as I was a teacher teaching about these issues. We have to act on these issues. We have to get politically engaged to the point where politicians, from city council to our state's governor, to the president, to people in Congress, anyone and everyone knows that we are here. We are tired of what's happening to us, and we demand for it to stop. Otherwise, we're going to start running for office like I did and get some people out of here.
To you, what do recent events say about the state of Black people in the United States today?
My favorite Malcolm X quote, who I share a birthday with, May 19th, is about progress. And he says, "We haven't seen progress. If you stick a knife 9 inches in my back, pull it out 6, that's not progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. It's only once we begin to heal the wound do we see some sort of progress." And he went on to say that we haven't healed the wound, we haven't taken the knife out, and in many cases, some people don't acknowledge that the knife is there. These recent events, for the most part, have shown people, black, white, yellow, brown, red, and in between, that the knife is there. The pain is there. We have been experiencing it over and over and over. So these recent events have created I would say, a new woke class. And in some cases, this wokeness is a double-edged sword because you have so-called allies who are equipped now with this new information, and they don't know what to do with it, and they're misguided in some cases. But I'm here to stand very firmly on the fact that the federal government owes a specific group of people reparations.
Last month, you tweeted this: "We must be politically mature. A Black politician without Black policies is useless." What are Black policies?
Black policies are specific policies directed to address atrocities that we have experienced. We have experienced special mistreatment. So a Black policy would be special treatment specifically for us. A perfect example is in Louisville, our city's government did a study about the impacts of redlining, housing discrimination. And it found that 22,000 Black families should have a house today in Louisville, but they do not. Because they do not, it has really opened up the racial wealth gap in ways that we have not seen ever in the history of this country. So a Black agenda would mean that we give 22,000 homes to 22,000 Black families, specifically those families, not people of color, not minorities, not throwaway terms that exist, but specific people impacted by the atrocity known as redlining. So a Black agenda is just being very specific about policies that you want to be focused on a group that experienced the opposite of those policies.
A recent Washington Post Ipsos poll found that the two most important issues for the Black community this year are racism and the police treatment of Black Americans. This is an age-old fight. Have we made any progress when it comes to those issues, or are we election after election grinding away to bring attention to something that never changes?
I like to use measurements when I think about progress. As a teacher, if a student fails a test in the first semester and they pass it in the next semester, that's a tool of measurement using the grades or the percentages. So it's 13% of the country's population, 37% of incarceration, 40% of homelessness, 50% of homeless families, 40% of school suspensions, and we have less than 3% of the country's wealth. In terms of progress, there have been, I would say, microscopic, symbolic means of progress. A perfect example is the current movement to change flags and to take down Confederate statues. But we need to move away from tearing down symbols of white supremacy and tear down systems of white supremacy. And racism isn't just about stereotypes or symbols or logos or even being called the dreaded N word, because the real N word, in the words of the president at the HBCU I teach at, the real N word is neglect. And racism means that you're only 13% of the population, but three times that within homelessness, school suspensions, expulsions, homeless families, and otherwise. That's racism. And when you break down racism through that context, not through this low hanging fruit idea of Donald Trump saying something crazy, racism has not progressed. Race relations have not progressed.
A significant share of young Black voters say they are not going to vote this November at all. Should this be of concern to Biden, to the Democratic Party, to Trump and the Republican Party?
Yeah, what that means is you're letting America off of the hook. I will never advocate for you to not vote. And as someone who used to not vote or to see the importance of voting, I have to say and be very clear that when you don't vote and you just give up on the political system that runs your life, you are being lazy and you are saying that your life don't matter. So even if you vote about it, like write in a candidate, show up. You have to show up, because when we don't show up, then we get blamed for everything, even though we are in conditions that we did not create and we certainly don't condone for the most part. So you have to show up so we can go up. It's the only way for us to see any sort of change is through politics, because everything in your life, from the paycheck you get and the money that gets taken out of it, to the road you drive on, to the schools our kids go to, everything is political. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can get involved in politics in a way that's going to demand a specific agenda and get us not only what we're owed and what we want, but what we absolutely need. Otherwise, we'll cease to exist in a country that we built.
That's all the time we have for now. Jecorey Arthur, thank you for joining me on We Need to Talk. And thank you for tuning in. There is so much more we could discuss. So let's keep the conversation going. Leave a comment below and use the hashtag We Need to Talk. And of course, for more, you can always head over to aljazeera.com/simply2020 for all the latest on the upcoming US election. See you next time.